Let's cut where I last word now. Let's continue on. If I get this thing open again.
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing after contributions, you can also see your salary increases over the time. You can see your other income if you had, let's say, a cell phone allowance or uniform allowance or any kind of allowance that you get. You can be seen as middle button. On top of that, you can also see your schedules. So this is great, especially for a very large company that's very diverse. If you're a construction company, if you are a company that has employees in all parts of the campus, you as a department head can actually make all the schedules in one location, and all your staff can see the schedules. Because right now, normally you gotta print the schedules on Microsoft Word or Excel, post it in a location, email it to everyone, and you're not really sure if they actually even see it. In this particular case, you can actually make the schedule in the system. Every employee will see their schedules every day that they have to work. They can even request, see the view request button on the bottom? They can either view request for a change of schedule. Let's say I'm an employee who was able to, or has a conflict schedule. On this day 3, on Saturday, I have a wedding to attend. So what I do is I go to view request, I can edit it, ask for a change of schedule with someone else. This will go through the same approval process of the leaves. So once I do it, my supervisor will be emailed or SMS texted, and then they'll get a request. They'll get my request. They say yes or no. If it's a yes, it'll change my schedule. And it'll even update the payroll the payroll timekeeping when the payroll is processed. So it's really a one-step. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but in other videos, we have our software has a feature called Smart Integration. What this is you touch it in one part of the software, and all parts of the software get affected by that. So if I make a touch in the timekeeping, the payroll will see that. If I make a touch in the HRIS approval process, the timekeeping and the payroll will be connected automatically. In normal other softwares that you have different third-party connections, they're not related to each other, or you have Excel and another software, you have to take the data, type it back in. It's very manual, right? So we're actually streamlining the process of your operations dramatically just because of our smart integration functionality. Okay, going back to the dashboard, you also can see your late and undertime under here on this left button here. And then lastly, we also can see your time logs. So if you're an employee, you can also see your time logs, meaning your DTR by payroll period. All you got to do is select the pay period, and you can see your time log for that period. Awesome. So again, you feel very empowered as an employee. Morale goes up. As an HR department, you're doing a great job because your staff are happy. Happy staff means happy company. Right, staff?
Right.
Okay. They're paid to see that. Okay. Anyways, you can also see memos. So, for example, if you make a memo for your staff, you can issue the memo online. And in the memo button on the very top side right here, what ends up happening is you can see all the memos here. Now, what's fantastic about this, I don't have any samples here, but if there was a memo, you'll see like if there's the topic or the title of the memo be listed in order. You'll see it here. If it has been seen, if I open up the memo, there'll be a little indicator that's in color red. So that means, you know, if you ever had staff in your time as HR or department heads, or if you're just the owner, you give a memo to a staff, they say, oh, I refuse to accept it. Well, and you think that, and they think as an employee that that's legal. That's not really legal anyway, but the bottom line is it doesn't change the fact that staff do that. If they do refuse it, great, you can always put the date and it's accepted as legally binding. But in the software, if I open this page, and I click it, without seeing the content, I automatically get date stamped, and that's legally binding in court. So you have the record that they actually opened it. It doesn't mean they read it, but they opened it. That's their fault that they haven't read it. Okay, that's another advantage for the system as well. And then lastly, we have what we call the e-training. What's the e-training? This is if you have a company that you have a lot of training procedures, and a lot of companies have that, like customer service training. Let's say you are a chemical manufacturing company, you be certified in a certain chemical processing. If you're a trucking company, for example, you'd be certified in driving trucks of a certain size of 18 wheels, 8 wheels, 10 wheels, and so on. There's so many. If you're a clinical medical profession, you need certifications or recertification of certain procedures. If you're a software company like us, there's certification in IT. It doesn't matter, it's endless. But the bottom line is, you need training, right? So here, what you can do is we've modified it to the point where it's very streamlined and computerized. Me as an employee, I can now go through my portal and do e-training. Normally, if you don't have this, you have a training class, takes up space, takes up time, and it's not as efficient. In this case, at home on my own time, I can click e-training. It takes me to the training page that I've got. This training page that you've set up, we supply it to you. All the training videos are on there, kind of like a YouTube of your own company. So if there was a training video here, I don't have a sample here, but I would watch it, just like in YouTube. Once I watch it, and I'm able to finish the video at my leisure, on my own time, not on company time, that's important to know, I can now take the exam, because you give them an exam to see if they actually were watching the video. Now, we can't guarantee they watched the video. They can just kind of like click play, go away, come back 3 hours later and say they watched it, but they still have to pass the exam, correct? So all I do now, there's a little link here at the very bottom, I click exam, click to take the exam. If I click that, like that, it takes you to the exam page. Now, I don't have any examples because I can't show you anyone else's examples, but what ends up happening is as an HR department or department head, you put the questions here and there'll be answers, right? The multiple choice answers. Now they have to answer all of these correct, and whatever your criteria is for passing, that's up to you. But the bottom line is, you can now get training and certifications online as an employee. As a company, you can ensure that your staff are getting certified, reading and being up to date on what's the latest trends and procedures that are needed to operate your company. And the great thing about that, if I pass or fail, my findings are automatically put into the HR file. So you don't have to check up and correct it. The system does it for you automatically. Now, where do you see this information? This would go into what we call the HR admin side. The HR, remember I showed you the dashboard earlier? Let's go into that right now. Okay, as an administrator or a department head, I have access and I can see only what I'm allowed to see. Always keep that informed, keep that in mind. So if I'm allowed to see leave requests, great. But I'm not allowed to see change shift requests, this will be blank for me. So there's a lot of controls that can be put in place so you can make sure that only what you're allowed to see, you are only seeing. But let me just close this because we talked about this before. In this page, this is the HR admin side the department head would see and the HR admin would see. So I can also see your evaluation setup. If I set up my evaluation setup, I go to the score under the employee management menu. I click score setup. From here, I can set up my score functionality. So in other words, if I am going to be doing the exams I showed you earlier, excuse me, if I get 61 to 70%, the system says, or a company policy says, I'll get a 4% increase. This can be done automatically. The software will automatically give an increase to the employee 4%, or it can be overridden and you decide when or arbitrary you will give 4 or not give 4, depending on the company policies. Okay, that's one way. We also have the ability to see the employee appraisal performance evaluation. Okay, this is where you would see, for example, your employees, their position. This is where you can see your status in the evaluations, what's really happening. Okay, this is where you would bring all your department heads together, and then you would talk about employees one by one through here. Okay, you can look them up. You can view the information about them, how their exam was. You can view also about what is their status for regularization, if they're on probation, and so on. That's what that will do. Okay, so there's also a module that each department head can actually even access, and they can put their evaluation in, and then that will also be part of the system for their KPIs, and most companies, that's what they call it, right? Your key performance indicators. On top of that, there is another function here for your training module. Well, we talked about training module already. The application tracking, okay? Now the way this works is, you of course would click this, and of course you have tons and tons of resumes every day, every other day, and you code this into the system. There's a portal for that. You can code that in. Now, as an administrator that you are, or the HR administrator, you can see all your names of applicants here. Even the status, they're all color-coded to make it easier for you. You can see the color code for each one. You can even filter. So if you want to see who's been interviewed, you just have to click the green button and only the interview will show up. And all the way down the chain it goes. Even after hiring, you can track your employees from here. So for example, if they have been offered the job, you can also do what we call the job offer right there. The green, kind of a greenish color, army color, for a job offer. When you click that, because there's a function here as well where you can also give job offers. The job offer will be tracked here, even each revision of the job offer. Once it's been done, it'll be tagged as blue. They've given the job offer, accepted it, and then of course you're up for requirements, meaning what they have to give. Maybe their license, their birth certificate, whatever you require as a company, and all the way down the chain. So even for they've been done requirements, you've got for orientation, done orientation, and down the chain it goes. So it's a really informative dashboard for your staff to see the status of everyone. But even before it gets there, you can also even filter through all the applications that have been given to you. So let's say, for example, you're looking for a cashier because your department head said, I need another cashier. If you click cashier, for example, it'll look through the whole, let's say 6,000, 5,000 names that you got, and it'll filter down to all the cashiers. It can even go by region or by company, or by country, I should say. If you're looking for a certain country or region that you need that employee to be employed in, you can put the city or the country and it'll filter it down to that name as well, to that listing as well. There's another feature here, it's another module, it's called recruitment. I want to show this a little bit to you right now. I'll open it up right now for you. Now not everyone gets this done. This is a web page that we have made that will be connected to your website under the careers, okay? When you go to the careers, there's a link there, and when you click it, it'll open up this kind of a page like this that you see now. What does this do? What this does is you can post all the jobs that you are looking